Hey guys, what is up? It is Dave the Drummer here, the host of the Talking Drum TV. Want to thank you guys for tuning in. It's Friday night. It's 8:30. It's time for a brand new episode. So I've got two new drummers to introduce you to today. Two local drummers that have just multitude of skill and experience between them, and definitely a lot of drive to make music and to really get involved with the music community here in Santa Cruz. First up, we have Nathan from Analogue Spirit. Nathan is somebody that I found to be very, very smart for his age. He's a young cat, but he's definitely somebody that wants to go out there and get the experience, get the knowledge of music, what it is. He went to school in LA for music. He'll tell you more about it himself. Let's get over to that interview with Nathan Kingsley. Take it away, Nate. And welcome back to the JVQAV stage. We're here doing another episode of the Talking Drum. My guest is Nate from Analogue Spirit. Welcome, Nate.
Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely, man, absolutely. So, Nate, I had actually met through just a couple of mutual friends. My bass player from the Cohesion and C137 rhythm section, Manuel Johnson, and this man are proud alumni from Scotts Valley High School, along with, was it Eric, right?
Yeah.
Eric?
Yeah.
Also my guitar player from the Cohesion, also Scotts Valley High School alumni. What is their mascot? What's the mascot?
Falcons.
Falcons. Well,
It's
my favorite fighter plane.
I hated it.
So, how long you been with Analogue Spirit?
So I've been with Analogue Spirit, I guess, 3 years now.
Okay.
We met in a music production class my sophomore year of high school, and then we kind of stopped after I went to school. Kind of had a hiatus. And then now that I'm done, came back from LA, we're all playing again.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on, that's cool. So it's one of the rare instances where you play in a band, you kind of pack things up and you come back and kind of you can step in and things don't feel so awkward or uncomfortable then.
Yeah, we had it was a four-piece. We had John on bass and he kind of moved away. But then, so, like, other than that, yeah, it's just the three original members, and we kind of always figured we wanted to, like, we kind of had a plan to move down to LA and play.
Right.
But that didn't really work out, so I don't know, I found myself back up here after I went to school. He was like, hey, do you want to jam? Matt, kind of the main guy, like, lead singer, guitar player, is like, hey, do you want to jam, play music? I'm like, of course.
Okay.
You know, yeah, so we've been playing a lot more.
Right on, right on. So, what kind of style of music would you say Analogue Spirit plays?
I always kind of have trouble describing it. I don't want, like, that sounds so pretentious, though.
No, please. Just go ahead and elaborate, like, you know.
So it's like, it's rock-based, I'll say. It has kind of like indie folk pop, like, influence, but it also has kind of like, I don't know, proggy, like, Pink Floyd, stuff like that.
Right on.
But it's like mainly rock.
Do you guys play covers and originals, or do you guys just do originals?
Yeah, we play covers. We have a decent amount of originals now, probably around like 12 or 13, depending on the gig. And then we always have like a few covers, usually classic rock stuff, like we cover the Stones and like stuff like that.
Everybody loves the Stones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about your drum set? Tell us about your drum setup. What are you rocking?
All right. Right now I'm rocking Super Lucky DW Performance Series with A Custom cymbals. Usually a four-piece kit. I don't know. I've always played on a four-piece, just one rack tom and one floor tom. I started out with a Ludwig like accent series, so like China made Ludwig kit. It was like a starter kit. I had that for about 4 years, and it definitely served me well. But I figured it's time to upgrade. I'm just so happy that I got this new kit. It's like, I don't know, it's really cool, and I just kind of get super sad when they have me play a backline kit that sounds like trash.
Yeah. So how long did you spend in LA? You were going to music school, or you were going to the school for music, right?
Well, I was going to recording school, like audio engineering. It was a part of the film school down there. So that was an 18-month program, but I kind of skipped ahead a little bit, like doubled up on classes, so it turned into 16 months. Yeah, like I enjoyed it. It was like a lot of interaction with, I don't know, the music production guys and like helping produce songs and different things like that. But yeah, so I was down there for about 17 months total because that was when my lease was, but then.
Right. So as a drummer, do you feel that you've kind of developed a better sense of what it is to, like, you have a better idea of, I guess, a role of a drummer learning the back end of music, because there's obviously there's us where we're playing and stuff.
Yeah.
But when you record or when you're trying to get a specific sound, you know, there's other things to consider. And you know, now that you've kind of seasoned yourself with a lot of this knowledge, do you kind of think you have a better understanding of like what you need to do, you know, as a role as a drummer?
Yeah, I think that's actually super good because yeah, just learning about like different music production things and how I don't know, playing 100% all the time isn't probably going to sound good in a song, right? You need to leave space for other things, like for dynamics and whatnot. And I was in a session helping, or just kind of sitting in a session. These guys were going over this song, and they needed to work on drums. And like it was just super busy and everything. So, you know, like some people suggest just strip it down. Let's do like a super boring four on the floor and everything like that. But it worked out. So, you know, it's just kind of like, it gives you pretty good perspective into, I don't know, just deciding what to play. It doesn't have to be super choppy, you know, but if it fits in the song, you know, it's super cool. So yeah, it's definitely helped me try to figure out different ways of playing and stuff like that.
So now that you've come back from LA, from the school, you are going to start working on projects, probably start helping like other musicians and bands record, mastering and mixing and that such?
Yeah, definitely. I've recorded quite a bit. Like me and my friend Brandon Reyes down at the recording school would book out the main studio every Sunday, and we'd record a band every single week. And so that's something like I really love to do, and you know, look forward to like mixing my own projects as well as like my bands, and also just other people. Like I love doing it, so I definitely want to keep going more with that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I have to get some more recording equipment, but as far as mixing goes, like I'm pretty set. So, yeah.
Is there a way people can get in touch with you if they want to get your services for mixing and mastering?
Yeah, definitely. Email is probably the best spot. It's just my name, Nathan J. Kingsley @gmail.com.
Okay.
Or you could just look me up on Facebook at Nathan Kingsley. Yeah, I usually charge about $20 a song. It kind of depends on the project, you know, with tracks, and it's kind of it's definitely negotiable. But yeah, definitely.
So one more question in regards to your gear. What do you have a preferred size of a drumstick, like your size? What do you prefer?
So I've been using, like, I don't know. I started off with 5As when I first started. I kind of moved down actually, so I've been using like 7As. I know they're kind of more like jazz sticks, I guess. But I don't know. I just find that to be pretty comfortable for me. I haven't really broken many. I usually use Vic Firth. That or yeah, definitely. So I've been using like 7As mainly, and yeah, I use wooden tip.
What do I was gonna ask you, what do you think is the thing in your mind that made you want to switch from the 5s to the 7s? Was there something? Where was the point in time where you were just like, I think I'd like to kind of switch it up a little bit, you know?
I don't know. I just felt I could be more like agile and quick with them.
Okay.
It was probably about after 2 years of playing, I kind of like explored more into like equipment and stuff and how it could benefit me. And like, I don't know. I mean, some people look a lot into it. It's like, oh man, you're playing 5As. Like, it's like, you got to play 5As or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like what makes you comfortable, in my opinion. So
yeah. No, you have to be comfortable with what you're doing, because if you're going to be doing it a lot of, you know, you're going to be doing it a lot of time, you're going to want to feel less comfortable doing the least amount of work.
Yeah, definitely. So that's 7As for now, but it might change.
Yeah. So it could always change. You know, you got rods, you've got brushes, you know, you've got all kinds of crazy stuff that you know eventually you'll go through. You know, in terms of being a drummer and playing and you know having different scenarios where you're gonna need that stuff. Jazz clubs, you know, small parties, you know, that kind of jazz. Nathan's brought a clip of Analog Spirit in action. We're gonna show you that right now. there's one name that will usually come up in your travels, your experiences here. If you're a drummer in need, you will go to Starving Musician. You will go and seek out the man, the myth, the legend, Stretch. Stretch is somebody that I've known for a couple of years now. He actually sold me my first drum set with the late, great Brent Adams selling me all the hardware that I needed to complement what I was getting from Starving Musician. But I would like to think that Stretch is somebody that everybody has a really good story about. So I would like Stretch to tell his story, and that's what we're going to do. So, Stretch, go ahead and tell him everything. Take it away. I am here with my guest, Stretch, who is the main man behind Starving Musician. He's also a drummer in a couple of different bands. Stretch, tell him a little bit about yourself.
Good to be back.
Yes, we did have a filming of earlier, but this is round 2.
Technical difficulties.
Yes, yes.
So we'll just do it again.
Yeah. So,
brand new.
Please.
So let's see. I work at Starving Musician. I've been working there for 14 years in the drum department. I still run the drum department, so it's kind of my specialty. I is a drummer. That's all I can do. So it made sense to work in the drum department and take control of it. So
right.
Recently moved. It's been about 5 weeks now since we moved. It's going really well. We're right downtown next to the Catalyst, which is amazing. Different element of clientele and different element of the public, but it's going to be a good year. I think it's going to be fun.
Right on.
Once we get everything in place, I'm still unpacking drum stuff, and my band is called the New Shockwaves. It consists of 4 members, and it's a surf band. And it came about in 1986 when I was in a band called the Shockwaves in San Jose, and I was in the band for a few years, and then I bailed, and they kept going until about 90. The band went away, and then about 2 years ago I realized I wanted to play surf music again because I wasn't doing that. So I formed the New Shockwaves, which is basically just me and some new guys. And then immediately right after I did that, I joined another band as the drummer for Fascinating Creatures of the Deep, which is a local Santa Cruz band that's run by Adrian. And oddly enough, they're both surf bands, instrumental rock, if you want to call it that. A lot of originals in both bands. It's a blast to play. I love it.
Right. Influences drummer-wise. Do you have anybody that you're really big,
You know, when I was starting out, I've only been drumming for about 30 years, which is actually not that long compared to some people out there who start when they're 3. I started when I was 30. Keith Moon is an influence.
Right.
Buddy Rich is an influence.
Oh.
Gene Krupa is an influence. I'll never do anything like them, but they're still influences. I had a good friend who passed away a long time ago at a young age named Ron Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
He was the drummer for the Safaris, and he co-wrote Wipeout.
Right.
He was a heavy influence on me, and
Right.
he was a monster player that no one really knew who he was.
Right.
Because he had skills that you couldn't, you could hear him. And I got to know him as a friend, so I got to see him up close and personal and do gigs with him. And I realized what an amazing drummer he was, who wasn't famous.
Yeah.
Except for writing Wipeout, which is one of the key surf songs in the annals of surf music. So for that reason, he's well known.
Yeah.
But that's mainly it. But I never studied enough. I never took enough lessons to emulate anybody and really get into what they were doing. I just took bits and pieces and as far as influences.
Right. Yeah,
I ran with it. Yeah.
I think that it's something else to be influenced by somebody and to replicate the work as opposed to somebody who just influences you. You hear them do their thing and it moves you and it kind of compels you to do these things, and it doesn't necessarily mean emulation is going to happen. Right. They say that imitation is the most sincerest form of flattery. Right. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily work out like that. Sometimes it's just, hey, these guys have been in the back of my mind, and when I do my thing, it's just like I'm thinking about that. So I totally hear you.
And when I go learn songs that they played on, I can't do exactly what they did. They
Right.
have a certain feel. They are who they are. I can only grab bits and pieces, melody lines, starts and stops, and make it my own.
Right.
So that's how I figured. I just I take their ideas and make it my own. So my main kit is actually a modern kit. It's a Mapex.
Right.
I play with one rack tom, usually a 13, one floor tom, usually a 16, and a 22 bass drum. I also have an 18 bass drum option.
Right.
I also have a 14 floor tom option, and I have a 10-inch rack tom option.
Yeah.
But I usually play 12, 14, 18, or 12, 16, 22. They're my two main configurations. Plus the snare, of course. And my
Right.
snare drums, right now, most of my snare drums are Craviotto snare drums.
There
I
you
mix
go.
those with an Apex. And
Yes.
It really gives a nice sound.
Yes.
My other kit is a beater kit. I just finished putting together. It was the one I couldn't get rid of, and that's just an old vintage 1971 Ludwig.
Right.
Classic, old school, ugly finishes, but they sound great.
Right. Yeah, I actually got my first drum kit. It was a imitation Pearl export Japanese made from Starving Musician. I believe it was 2012 is when I got it over there from Starving Musician. And I mean, I'll never forget that kit. And I mean, the thing is the memories that you make along with using that piece of equipment. I mean, your drum sets come and go, but I mean the memories. You remember those shows, and you remember being there using these kits and whatnot, and it's almost like a part of you for that time. And you might lose a part of you with it being the drum set and all, but you always will remember it being there for that particular gig or that particular event and whatnot. We have a clip of Stretch in action. We're going to check out that clip, and then we're going to come back and talk a little bit more with Stretch. So we'll be back right after this.
As far as pure instrumental surf bands, when I say surf music, I mean it doesn't have to be '60s cover tunes. It
Right.
can be modern songs, but still you're replicating the '60s sound.
Right.
And there's no singer; it's just instrumental.
Right.
So you don't have a vocalist in there. And the pure form would be guitar, bass, drums.
Right.
Although sometimes they can add keyboards or a horn or something like that. I don't know. I think we're so unique just because we are strictly sticking with the instrumental format, trying to do as many originals as we can while still having some covers in our back pocket. I think it helps that I've been around this town for a long time, and so people recognize me. They recognize me from some of the bands I've been in over the years, and of course they recognize me from the store.
Right.
Because a lot of musicians go shop at music shops, and then they go to the clubs. So part of it is I see people in the audience I know because of that. So that kind of helps. The sound, though, it's just reverb.
Right.
strong reverb, good melody lines, good sounding guitar lines. You need good guitarists when you're in a surf band because they are the vocalists. They are the singers.
Right, absolutely.
The guitar is your voice. So.
One thing I wanted to mention was that when we talked initially about me finding out about that you started drums when you were 30, it gives a lot of hope to a lot of people who think I'm too old or I'm too far gone to go out and play drums. I started only professionally going at like 28, 29. So when he told me that, I was super motivated, and it just made me feel good that, there is no wrong path in your journey as being a musician. There's just your experience and how you go through it, because it's a facet of life. Everybody goes through different paths and they do things different ways, but sometimes they come to the same conclusions that other folks have and whatnot. So I mean, I want to say, thanks for being a motivation for people that are like myself that pick it up a little later than others. You also bring up another interesting.
I've been playing 32 years, and I'm going to aim for 20 more.
Yeah.
Before I think I have to even think about quitting, because it's so much fun and it's such a passion. And anybody out there that has a passion for any instrument, drums, of course drums, but any instrument, go for it. Doesn't matter your age. Just have fun, get into it. Don't expect to make $1 million, and be that 1% of the musicians out there. Go for it and have fun. And then just do it as long as you can and wherever you can. I started out my music career as working in record stores, and then a year later I started working on a radio station.
Right.
As a disc jockey. It was a college radio station up in Los Altos Hills, which is KFJC, Foothill Junior College. And that station in the 80s, I mean, it's still going today, but in the 80s we were really big, and we used to compete somewhat with the FM stations because we had a lot of coverage, and we were innovative, not afraid to take chances, and we had a really good, basically good coverage of the whole Bay Area.
Right.
And so that got us a lot of attention, as opposed to a lot of really small college stations where 300 people can hear you.
Right.
We had thousands and thousands of people. So I started my career in radio, and I did 7 years as a disc jockey, interviewing bands and playing records and all that good stuff. So that's how I started. And then in '86, that was in '81 I started that, and then in '86 when I started being in a band, and I thought to myself, I don't have enough time to be a disc jockey and a musician.
Right.
What's going to take me farther and be more rewarding? I quit being a DJ because that's all volunteer.
Right.
And I became a drummer, musician, if you will, and still doing it 32 years later.
Yeah.
And I'm still happy to do that.
Is there something that you really like to do for fun outside of like playing music?
When I have free time, I find myself working on drums, listening to music,
Right.
rifling through my personal record collection, which of course is huge because I was in that business for 20 years. I just don't get away from it.
Yeah.
I need something else to do. Occasional bike ride, but I'm not a marathon biker in that.
That's right. We talked about that in the last interview that we had. Was that you were thinking about fixing up your bike so that maybe you could start
riding to work and back.
Yeah.
It's only a few miles away. Now that the rain stopped,
Yeah.
I might
Finally
just start do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, my life pretty much mostly is music. I realize my personal passion is music.
Right.
That's really what feeds me in a lot of ways.
Right. Is there anything going on with either one of the bands in terms of like you guys gonna maybe like do some recording, or you guys thinking about doing a little tour?
Too many trips. One of them is with Fascinating Creatures. We're going to go to Fresno, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and Huntington Beach for 5 days of surf band fun. And then I'm going to do something, that's in June, and then in July I'm going to do something interesting. I got invited to be an assistant guest teacher, if you will, at the Sierra Band Surf Camp. And it's held right after 4th of July. It's up in the Sierra Hills there. And essentially they bring in professionals and semi-professionals like me, and we basically teach kids all about surf music. And there's different instruments. There'll be a guitarist there and a bassist and of course drummers. And we go over surf music and have fun and put bands together and stuff. And so that's and it's youth, so it's going to be fun. I've never done anything like this before. First I was scared. They said, "Stretch, you've been playing 30 years, you're qualified." So I'm qualified to do it.
Fresno. You hear that? Fresno. Go and check out.
Never been to Fresno. It's going to be fun.
Me and Ed's. That's all I got to say. Go get some Me and Ed's pizza. If you're not huge on pizza, there's Tacos Tijuana. I mean, every place back home is pretty good.
Here's the funny thing about the Fresno gig, and it's not actually in a club. This gig is going to be at the Food Truck Roundup Festival. And from there we go to Vegas for one night and do one night of there. And then,
right on.
So yeah, Fresno, the roundup of the food trucks.
I'm gonna play there eventually. If they want to check out any of your guys' stuff, can they go on like YouTube or SoundCloud and check you guys out?
Yeah. The thing is, if you type in Shockwaves, there's some clips from recently, and then there's some clips from back in the 80s and 90s, and then there's all different variations of Shockwaves. So you get science things. You have to kind of search for it. But if you type in Shockwaves as one word and surf, you get more of the actual performances that we did. There's a lot of that on YouTube.
Right.
I've been in surf bands for 30 years, and I'm out there in various form, various inclinations of it. So.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for joining us again, and we will be back next month. That's the thing about next episode is we've actually got another triple header for you. We've got that other interview I mentioned with Stretch. We also have an interview with Eiji Nakagawa, the gentleman that introduced me to the 7As. And we also have an interview with a mystery drummer. I'm not going to say who it is, but you might know who it is. You may not. But anyways, that's going to be coming up next month as a brand new episode of The Talking Drum. So until next time, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Be sure that you're back here, and the last Friday of every month we'll have a brand new episode. Every last Friday from here till September, we're going to have brand new episodes. You want to make sure your eyes are glued back here Friday nights, 8:30 CTV. Now, also be sure to check me out on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on the website. Check out what's going on. The podcast is actually going to be starting up very, very soon. Full interviews themselves will be available on the podcast, including a special interview we did with Rick Walker that we were unable to use the video for. So, anyways, we'll see you next time. Until then, Blue Justice!